It's finally fall. Like so many others, I could not be more happy. This time of year is my favorite transition between the seasons. The leaves are finally changing colors and I'm watching them shift from green to red and yellow. It is breathtaking. Also, hi, I'm Angela, and I am going to be doing the It's Finally Fall book tag. This is not my tag, obviously. I'm sure you've seen it around. I will have all the information in the description box if you want to do it too, because I can't help but think of my own answers as I watch other people's, so I thought I would share with you. I don't know if this is the intent of the tag, but I chose books that are answers that also are great books to read during fall. So all of these books, also think of them as fall recommendations from me. The first one is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. The most vivid, atmospheric fall setting that I have read recently is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is a short story. It is a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's Fall of the House of Usher. It is not only incredibly atmospheric, but the characters are so detailed and interesting. It's got humor involved, it's got horror, it's got just eerie creepiness. It's a wonderful novella to read in one sitting. It is about this brother and sister. They are the Ushers, and they have this humongous but falling apart mansion in the English countryside. They're both not doing very well. They're quite sick, especially the sister. And so their friend goes to their house to comfort them, lift their spirits, be with them. As they're going to the House of Usher, there are so many things in the area that seem so odd. There is a lot of fungi, there are rabbits that are acting unusual, and the ushers themselves are acting quite unusual. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. If you saw my last video, can you guess what I'm going to say? Mrs. Death by Selena Godden. I know I spent a good portion of my last video going on and on about the incredibleness that is this book. But what other book could I recommend that is about loss and grief and death than Mrs. Death? This book is about Mrs. Death. She is personified, and Wolf, a writer, is writing her story. And I'm going to shout out Caitlin Wilson, who commented on my last video and used the words that she used to describe a book like this, because it's perfect. Introspective and melancholy. Beautiful writing, poetry. Selena Godden is an exquisite poet, and I could not recommend a book more about these types of subjects. Fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. I have not been reading much nonfiction outside of for school, and the one that I did read that taught me so much is Cultish by Amanda Montell. It is about the language of fanaticism. It really talks about how cult-type organizations, people, leaders, all of them utilize language in such a way to control others and to have power and to manipulate others. It's a very fascinating book about the social sciences and a lot about the language that's used and linguistics behind people manipulating others. And a big focus is on cults, but it's not just cults that you think of, such as Jonestown. It's also Soul Cycle and things that we have on social media and modern day things that you might be exposed to constantly, and just being aware of how they use language and the tactics that they use. It is so eye-opening, and I can guarantee you will have experienced it one way or another. Knowledge is power. Awareness and understanding is so important, and it really helps even in people that you know in real life, not just on social media. It really helps you to know how language is used and manipulated, and how you can hopefully at least be able to recognize it when it's happening and maybe help yourself not quite fall for it. Plus, linguistics is just so interesting, but it can have devastating consequences. So reading this book, I listened to it on audiobook. It was a great audiobook as well. Is a great learning experience. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. Oh my gosh. Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. The household that I want to be a part of is the Deucalion. This is Jupiter North's Grand Hotel in Nevermore. If you have not read Nevermore yet, I don't care what age you are, oh, please read it. It's a whole series, and it is the most whimsical, wonderful series ever. It's so good. And I have to say that the Deucalion, this hotel, it is in Nevermore, which is a magical secret realm. It has a chandelier in the entryway that changes. Your room will change according to your mood or what you need or what it's feeling. And so the room is always changing in Morgan's room. And I just think that there are so many incredible places in this hotel that so many of the people who live there go to, and even just getting to live with the characters in the Deucalion. These are characters. I could just list them on and on. There are so many unique and interesting people, not just people. This is a magical realm, so they're like also wonimals, which is like wondrous animals, I guess you would say it. And honestly, actually, I think this is the Deucalion. And then there's Fenestra, who's a giant Magnificat. Fenestra lives there. Come on. Oh my gosh. The Deucalion is absolutely where I would love to live. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. This one made me so happy, looking through my books and trying to find the colors that I'm starting to see outside. I've got these three. Look at it. Oh, it's stunning. These, especially this one, is my favorite color that the leaves are turning in the fall. I am seeing so many vibrant yellow leaves. This one is perfectly all the fall colors. I don't know if you see the flowers. And then this red. Sorry, we're supposed to be looking at spines. So these colors are my all-time favorite colors that are happening during the fall. And these are also 3 books that I would recommend for the fall as well. This is The Inheritance of Orchidia Divina by Zoraida Cordova. This is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. And then this is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. These all have fall vibes, if you ask me. And they have the colors of the most beautiful leaves that the trees are turning to. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. This book is potentially one of my favorite books of all time. This is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This book has I believe what you would call the omniscient narrator, I want to say. But this is a book where a story is being told. This book was potentially one of the first that reignited my love for reading. A lot of us here on BookTube can pretty much pinpoint a book that got us really, really passionate about reading again. And for me, it was The Night Circus. I read this on my phone, on the library's app, and it was not a great experience reading on my phone, but I couldn't stop. It was so breathtaking. And this book is quite complex. There's a couple of things going on in the book, but the main thing I would talk about is a night circus. There is a circus that arrives without warning in towns, and the colors are all black and white. And one of the core plots of this is that there are 2 magicians, a young woman and a young man, and they know since they were younger that they are going to have some battle or competition some point in their lives, but they don't know any details about it. They just know they need to practice their magic. And this is real magic as well. It's just the most beautiful writing. You have to love very flowery, gorgeous writing. And if you do, I can't see how you could go wrong with an Erin Morgenstern book, because to me, I feel like she is the epitome of stunning writing. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. A dark, creepy read definitely has to go to House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. House of Hollow, I always describe as a dark fairy tale. That's what it feels like. I listened to it on audiobook and I felt so caught up in the story. The plot of it, I'm just gonna read what it says on the back because it truly reads like a fairy tale to me, a dark fairy tale, albeit. Iris Hollow and her two older sisters are unquestionably strange. As children, they disappeared on a Scottish city street only to return a month later with no memory of where they'd been or what happened to them. More troubling, their appearance began to change. Their blue eyes, now black, their dark hair, now white. And as they grow older, odd, eerie occurrences seem to follow in their wake. People find them disturbingly intoxicating, unbearably beautiful, and inexplicably dangerous. Now, 17-year-old Iris is doing all she can to fit in and graduate high school on time, something her two famous, glamorous, globe-trotting older sisters, Gray and Vivi, never managed to do. But when Gray goes missing, leaving behind bizarre clues as to her whereabouts, Iris and Vivi are left to find her. But they aren't the only ones looking. As they brush against the supernatural, Iris quickly realizes that the story she's been told about their past is unraveling, and the world that returned them seemingly unharmed 10 years ago might just be calling them back again. Need I say more? Dark, creepy, this one. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. This one was a bit harder for me because, as I said, I'm trying to pick books that I think are atmospheric and great reads for fall. And I realize I don't really read that many short stories that are also heartwarming this time of year. Or in general, to be honest. I usually read more magical realism or horror shorter books. And the thing that came to mind for me that's heartwarming is comedy. I love good humor. And so I have to say, I think if you want a short book that will make you feel good and make you happy, you have to read Fangs. Fangs is a graphic novel by Sarah Anderson. And if you buy it, I just have to say, this is cloth and this is black sprayed edges. It's great. And it's art. This makes me laugh out loud so much. It is about a vampire. This is the first page. This is what it's about. It's a vampire and a werewolf and their courtship and them falling in love. And it's got all the werewolf jokes, all the vampire jokes. And on the back, as you can see, it says, "I want your love." And then love is scratched out and it says, "I want your blood," which is very appropriate. The scenarios are perfect for Halloween. It's heartwarming in the sense that I hope you will laugh too, or at least like smirk, and get some joy out of it. So I recommend Fangs if you're looking for a fall read that's short and quick. I mean, honestly, not just fall. Read it any time of year. Who doesn't like reading about funny situations with vampires and werewolves? Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return too soon. I could honestly say The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern again, but I'm not going to cheat since I used that for another one. I'm going to say something that I plan to read this year and I love returning to every autumn. And it is at this point an old favorite because I read it for the first time years ago. This is Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. This is a middle grade, they call it horror. I mean, it's middle grade, so it's not horrifying per se, but it is spooky and creepy. It is the first in a series. I like to read this one in autumn because it is scarecrows and it is very much set in the autumn. The next one is in the winter. That is called Dead Voices. And then there's two more that I have not read yet to finish up the series. It is Dark Waters and Empty Smiles, which is it looks like creepy lake, deep lake, and then creepy clowns. So I don't love either of those things, but thankfully it's middle grade. I absolutely love these characters. It's just always a favorite. I love the house that Ollie, the main character, lives in with her father. I love the friend group. This book starts off where Ollie finds a woman crying by the river, and she is threatening to throw a book into the water, a journal. And Ollie's like, I don't know why, but like, I don't want her to throw this book into the water. And she's not thinking, and she grabs it. She starts to read, and it is a very creepy story. Ollie can't stop reading and following this story, and the school is going on a field trip to a local farm that has kind of a haunting past. On the way there, the bus breaks down. I don't want to say anything else from here, but she gets a warning. She knows and feels like something is wrong, and she knows that she needs to run, and she needs to avoid big spaces and go to small spaces. Keep to small spaces, because there is something or some things that they need to be afraid of. This deals with so many great topics: the struggle to fit in, the struggle to find friends, feeling like the odd one out, grief and loss. It is an old favorite, and I am going to be reading this in the autumn, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's such a quick, wonderful read to get you into the autumn spooky mood. And lastly, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. I'm like everyone else who loves to read. I want my robe, I want my blanket, I want a mug of either hot tea, coffee. I do like cold coffees or iced coffees now, but in the fall and winter, the warm ones, that's just extra cozy, you know? And I also would love to have a candle. Marshmallow Fireside is my favorite scent of all time, all year, all the time. So either Marshmallow Fireside or Sweater Weather. Can I say my cats too? My cats, that would be great if they would cuddle up with me, but that's kind of rare. They have their own little bed, and they've just abandoned me, because why would they cuddle with me when they have a bed? So kind of shot myself in the foot with that one. I would love to hear your answers for these questions. Please share with me what you have suggestions for, or what you're reading. I do want to know what you're reading too. It's like a sneak peek at your TBRs. So please let me know. And then also, if you have a reading accessory that I didn't mention, that I didn't think of, that's perfect for coziness in the fall and winter, please let us know. I love getting ideas. I hope that this is a good time of year for you, and I hope that you have a wonderful one. And I hope that you're surrounded by good people and good books.